If you've been online in any capacity over the last little while, you might have noticed something strange. A number of tall, voluptuous, claw-wearing vampire women seem to be making appearances across many different apps. Why is this? Where did this pale person come from? Well, as expected, new information about the upcoming Resident Evil game is causing quite a stir. So let's go over the top 10 scary Resident Evil Village trailer Easter eggs. Coming in at number 10, we've got Ethan's back, baby. This one shouldn't come as too much of a surprise, but we'll make sure it gets some coverage anyways. Ethan Winters, Survivor Extraordinaire, is back for round 2. After making his way out of the Baker plantation and rescuing his long-missing wife Mia, and then subsequently watching Chris Redfield execute her with a pistol, Ethan's on a new mission. It's not to find his wife or exact revenge though, no, he's got a new goal and it's quite personal to him. We'll get to that in a minute. For some reason, every person in this village he visits seems to know exactly who he is. From random passersby on the streets, to every mansion dweller, to the new enormous merchant known as the Duke. It's kind of odd, especially considering how little known Ethan should be. Before the events of the previous game, he was pretty much a nobody, save for the fact that his wife had gone missing. So something has happened since the events of the previous game to raise his renown through the roof. What could it be though? I suppose pre-death Mia could have brought some attention towards her family after being infected in Biohazard, or maybe their daring escape ruffled more feathers than they originally thought, and the people of this village were somehow connected to the Bakers and the people controlling the Bakers. Much to think about, indeed. Coming in at number 9, we've got Ethan's got a kid to save. Again, this one's a little on the nose, but there's plenty of related Easter eggs to pick out here. Like I said before, Ethan's quest remains personal, but for different reasons than before. In an earlier trailer, we watch Mia get filled with lead, and then a baby is put into the arms of Mr. Redfield. Not an extremely pleasant thing for a husband and father to witness, I'll admit. So what's going on now? Well, it seems as though Ethan is looking to retrieve his daughter. This pops up a few times in the trailer and gameplay with different text prompts letting us know exactly what's going on. At one point, we see a mission objective concerning a person named Rose. So is Rose his daughter? It could very well be the case. So did this baby girl get taken and turned over to the family of supernatural weirdos living in the village? Because that does seem to be the case. Seems rather unfortunate that this man who survived a crazy scenario in RE7 and then immediately has his kid snatched up and sold off to another family of lunatics with superpowers, so there's gotta be something special about the baby. Did Mia pass on some sort of infection to the child, imbuing it with latent abilities deemed valuable? Or maybe Ethan is more closely connected to these people than has been let on? Tales of ritual and blood drinking seem to imply that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, and if a little baby girl can help the baddies, I'm sure they have a lot to lose by letting her go back to Ethan. Good luck, tiny human. Coming in at number 8, we've got Lady Dimitrescu's origins. Now this one requires a bit of creative thinking, but I have seen a lot of folks talking about it. I did not come up with this idea myself, so take it as you will. We meet this enormous heartthrob of a woman who doesn't get called by name during the trailer. However, we do learn that she is known as Lady Dimitrescu, and she's a lady, a landowner, a descendant of nobility. So what kind of power can she claim then? Very interesting. But beyond that initial impression, we can glean a whole lot more. The big thing that most folks have been noticing is her size. She towers over absolutely everyone, giving a certain subset of people with specific tastes a very exciting time. In fact, some folks have estimated that Lady Dimitrescu is over 8 feet tall, based on how she has to duck under a door frame to enter a room. 8 feet. Holy smokes, she shouldn't have taken up villainy, she should have went to the WNBA. She could dunk from standing, given her wingspan. Bad height jokes aside, her tall stature, paired with her seemingly supernatural connections and the claws she wears on her hand, makes a lot of people associate her with the Tyrants. Wouldn't that make a whole lot of sense? She's the next iteration of the towering, horrifying, powerful genetic experiments that have plagued RE fans for ages. And with her extra human visage, as well as her even more impressive height than most, she could be a more perfected version of these things. Definitely worth thinking about. Coming in at number 7, we've got family ties. Now that we've introduced the lady and some theories about her, let's discuss the rest of the family. We hear her refer to a few different characters very familiarly, like her little brother, who she seems to have a great deal of disdain for, and her daughters, who just seem absolutely nightmarish. Whatever going on here is a family business, all connected to that mysterious figure at the top. Again, we'll talk about that one soon. So if Lady Dimitrescu is quasi-nobility, the rest of the family must be as well. And if that's the case, they probably have a need to consolidate and hold on to power. What else does nobility do after all? The 3 locust-swarming, blood-drinking daughters are probably traditionalists, willing to do whatever it takes to ensure things stay the same. Of course, that leads to a lack of imagination and a tendency to lose one's mind over time, which makes sense considering how overtly bloodthirsty and crazy they are. And then there's the rebel Heisenberg. At least that's what I'm assuming. Lady Dimitrescu admonishes him a few times, claiming he's useless, which makes me think that he has his own way of doing things, different than the family tradition. Could Heisenberg be the bespectacled hammer wielder briefly featured in the trailer? Does he have the ability to telekinetically move stuff around? Why is he so taken with Ethan? Time will tell. Coming in at number 6, how long has Ethan been here? The timeline is hazy at best, with an unknown amount of time passing between the previous game and now. With Ethan's reputation preceding him, one has to assume that he's been around for a little bit. All the folks claiming to want to test him or that they're glad to finally meet him means that he must have been around for a while. He's not just kicking down doors unannounced, but what on earth was he doing during this time? It's implied that he was held captive for a bit, but then he escaped. Of course, his daughter is top priority, but something is missing here, and I'm sure it's being kept secret for good reason. Coming in at number 5, we've got candidates and rejects. In the demo, players can find a list in the mansion outlining a bunch of candidates and rejects. And what are they being considered for? Well, knowing Resident Evil, probably some sort of horrifying experiment that only some people are compatible with. Maybe it's a process that will turn someone into one of the weird shamblers in the basement. Or it could be a process that imbues somebody with bloodlust and the ability to turn into clouds of locusts. The mind boggles at the possibilities. Coming in at number 4, we've got red necklaces. If you look real close at the bloody-mouthed daughters, you'll notice that they wear some lovely ornamental jewelry. This plays into the theory that there are vampires about, as plenty of famous vampires in fiction have similar jewelry. Another theory folks came up with is that these gems are quite similar to the control device put on Jill Valentine back in RE5, which leads us down a whole new path, one that implies that this family of gigantic women and levitators could be under the control of a more sinister shadow organization. Wouldn't be the first time something like this has happened. Coming in at number 3, we've got vampires. And speaking of the pendant-wearing daughters, do we think they're vampires? Nothing official has been announced yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if they turned out to be some iteration of the famed blood-sucking fiends. Like, if you pay close attention, there's plenty to imply that these villains are indeed vampires. In the previous trailers, Lady Dimitrescu is seen drinking blood from Ethan's arm. And in this one, we get a nice close look at her daughters. They seem to have blood all over their mouths and sharp teeth for liquid extraction. Add in their obsession with man blood and maiming people, and you've got a pretty solid case for some nasty night crawlers. Coming in at number 2, werewolves. And what's Dracula without Wolfman, right? Gotta love those classic flicks and that classic combo. Now, these creatures are even less obviously displayed, but a bunch of eagle-eyed individuals have claimed that there's a good chance Lycans will be making an appearance. In the demo, there is a huge caged beast that players can come across. Is it the same kind of creature briefly shown in earlier trailers? And how will these freaky things play into the overall story? And finally, at number 1, we've got Mother Miranda. Our final Easter egg has to be one of the most mysterious. All of the lore in the game seems to point in one direction, to Mother Miranda. Is she the true mother presiding over the main family here? Or is she more of a figurehead, one meant to be worshipped by everyone in the village? Both villagers and nobles seem to have a great reverence for this secret individual, and there's even a hidden statue in the demo that some are claiming is in the image of Mother Miranda herself. Could Mother Miranda have something to do with the kidnapped Rose? My bet is on yes. So much stuff packed into a little trailer, eh? I suppose the demo offers some fascinating insight too. Soon enough, there'll be another demo with new content for non-PS5 users as well. So what'd you think of the list? Did you catch all those little details? Are there any big ones that I missed? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.